Hey, I'm Kanjun. I'm the CEO of Imbue. And today I'm going to talk about something that is pretty different than what you've heard so far, and probably pretty different than the rest of the conference, which is about the threats to your freedom with AI. So I'm going to talk about AI, power, and freedom. So as AI grows more powerful, the things we talk about are like we're worried that they'll take our jobs, and we're worried that they're causing existential risks. But the problem no one really talks about is that powerful AI lets software and its creators control us more than ever before. Something I think we all experience is that we all have phones and laptops, and we have this like really weird relationship with our digital devices where we try to detox from them. Like I put my phone outside of my bedroom at night, and if I felt this way about my sofa, I would get a different sofa. So what's going on here? Why do we feel this way about our devices? Because like it's everywhere. It's my hand right now. What's going on is our devices have software on them that is built by other people whose incentives are not fully aligned with ours. They're not bad people. They might be trying to increase their engagement metrics so they can get promoted. They might be trying to serve a user who's not quite you. But fundamentally, they're not you. They're not fully aligned with you. And so as a result, what happens is that we end up with these things in our pockets dominating our lives that are not quite aligned with us, but that have this property that software has that nothing else in our world has, which is that it has this ability to make a feedback loop that keeps our attention and that controls our actions because it keeps our attention. So basically, going into a future with really powerful AI agents that represent us, represent our will, any incentive misalignment means that other people who control them will control you if you're not in control of them. Who am I to say this? I guess I've been thinking about agents for a very long time. You can look it up on the internet. So there's this principal agent problem, basically. And I think to be free, what we need in this future is control over all of the software in our lives. And that includes AI agents. I think of agents are just software. Probably most software in the future will be agentic. And we need control over what these agents can do, both for us and to us. So an example of like an AI agent today is a social recommendation feed system. This is a system that is making decisions on what you are able to see, and it's taking actions on your behalf. It like selects what goes in your feed. And we can see the ways in which this agent today is already a runaway AI agent that is controlling us. Very clear. So how do we take back control? I actually think today, right now, we have a window of opportunity before things go too far. And that window of opportunity is that for the first time, LLMs have made it cheap to make software. So why are we in this economic incentive system? Well, it's because software is really expensive to build. So you need to raise money, you need to make a profit. So someone's trying to make a profit off of you, they're not fully aligned with you. But software is going to be cheap in 5 years. That's, I work on coding agents, and they're working really well. And it's a closed reinforcement loop where coding agents are just going to get better much faster than you might expect. And so because of that, I think in like 5 years, a lot of our software is going to be mostly created and maintained by AI agents. And what that means is that software today that exists is going to be easily replicable, and also that software which could only be made by big companies could probably be made by individuals. But also importantly, when making code is cheap and done by agents, actually, probably a lot of us will be able to make modifications to software. So right now, there's this idea of open source. But like open source is really only accessible to people who can like spend their whole week modifying this piece of open source software to suit what they want. If you have an agent that can write code, in theory, you should be able to take a piece of source code and just change the underlying code to do whatever you want. You can add a button, you can do the T-Mobile thing, you can do whatever you would like your software to do. If you're annoyed by the phone tree, like make the phone tree software different. It's super annoying. So I think that essentially when software becomes cheap to create, we actually have an opportunity to upend the existing economic structure that controls our digital lives. And that's really cool. That's actually really exciting. But what do we need to do that? Right now, most of us are stuck in this role of being passive consumers of our own digital lives. We rent what other people have built. We don't own software the way we own our sofas. And so I actually believe we need to go from being renters of software to being owners of software, and that means having access to the source code. And this requires most of the software we rely on to be open source. Now that poses a problem because businesses don't like to open source their software. And so what actually has to happen is that we have to make open software win over closed software, open agents win over closed agents to have a world where we have control and freedom. And we call this, at Imbue, this movement we call common source. And I'll walk a little bit through how we think about that. Our goal is to rekindle the dream of what personal computing was meant to be. And so Imbue builds the products and infrastructure and regulatory policy needed to make a world where we actually can shape our lives and AI is not controlling us and other people are not controlling us. The first component, I talk about common source. The question we have here is, can we figure out a combination of licensing, norms, et cetera, that make it so that as a business, I actually prefer to open source my software so that other people can use it. But I can make money off of it because by default, I will actually win if I open source. In theory, if you open source things, more people can contribute. You don't need as many people. Your end users can contribute their efforts and their agents to what you're doing. So that's the big question with common source. Can we help businesses monetize open source and make it so that that's the default path? Second is we work on interoperability policy. So can you get your privacy data, your private data out of platforms like TikTok, LinkedIn, et cetera? There's a bill in Congress right now. And the third component, which I'll talk more about, is Sculptor. It's a product we launched 2 weeks ago. And the product, the goal of it is to let you create and control your own agents and your own software. How many of you use coding agents today, AI coding agents? Okay, not bad. How many of you use Claude Code? Okay, how about Codex CLI? Oh, wow, Claude Code is much more popular. This is great. We love Claude Code. Right now, Sculptor is a UI for running parallel Claude Code agents. It's actually really awesome. You run them in containers. We make containers for you, handle that, and you can sync agents immediately to your local environment. So that means that basically whatever code the agent is writing, it'll show up in your IDE when you sync it, and you can instantly test agent changes. When you're working with agents, one of the most important things is verifying that they actually did what you wanted them to do. And so that's what Sculptor is really focused on, is like helping you quickly spin off agents and verify that they did a good job and give you more control over working with the agents themselves. And then finally, you get suggestions that help you figure out like, Claude told me that it made all my tests pass, but actually what it did is it erased all of my tests and replaced all of them with pass. This happens. It happens all the time. It's like, you're absolutely right. Your test passed now. No, it doesn't. So we basically do after-the-fact checking in order to make sure that the agents are actually doing what you wanted it to do and make agents align to you. So right now, we're focused on coding agents and helping you write software. In the future, when general agents run better, this similar philosophy also applies to general agents. And then finally, the feature that real quick. Finally, the feature I was just told is the most compelling feature is the ability to fork agents. So you can take an agent, fork it at any point in the conversation history, and be able to preserve context. So this means you can rescue an agent when it's gone off track. It happens all the time also. So if you're interested in learning more about Imbue, you can download Sculptor on Mac or Linux today. And we're also actively hiring a variety of roles. Thank you.